coming up on it fast, sir.
Are you certain of your sensor readings?
Definitely a space vessel of some type.
It's important to me you get along. I could leave you two alone together.
Now you're creeping me out.
Take the wheel. Not the wheel. I'll make it easy. Shut it down to basic mode for you.
Basic? Because I'm a girl?
Origin?
Unknown. Could hardly be an Earth ship. There have been no flights into this sector for years.
I'm picking up a signal, sir.
There it is. An old Earth vessel similar to the DY-500 class.
Much older. DY-100 class, to be exact.
Then it's a derelict.
What have I done?
Its signal left on automatic.
Or an old Earth ship being used by aliens.
Okay.
Weapon status.
Electric shields are maximum. Phaser's man, sir.
Bioscanners report.
Life science bioscanners are picking up heartbeats out there. Can't be human, though. They're too faint and average, only 4 beats per minute.
The electrical impulses are jammed. I can't get the shields back up. She's completely vulnerable.
I swear I just touched it.
Sensor reading, Captain. Some sort of equipment.
Back in 2016, the Star Trek franchise celebrated its 50-year anniversary. This is a monumental milestone for any franchise to achieve, especially one that has produced hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of amazing content through novels, websites, TV shows, films, books, and video games. But that is not to say the franchise as a whole hasn't had a few head-scratching decisions. Today, we will be discussing the top 5 most bizarre crossovers for the Star Trek franchise. To begin, I want to first define the term crossover for anyone that isn't aware. A crossover is the placement of 2 or more otherwise discrete fictional characters, settings, or universes into the context of a single story. For this discussion, we will be applying this definition to Star Trek characters' interaction with external franchises. Nothing crossing over between seasons or films of Star Trek. I would like to also note that I will not be discussing these different crossovers in too much depth, as to not give away any plot points or storylines. With that being said, let's get started. Number 5, The Next Generation and Doctor Who, Assimilation. Those of you who are familiar with Doctor Who know that he has the capability to bounce around time, space, and alternate realities. So it's no surprise that he would eventually pop up into the Star Trek multiverse. What is surprising is the reason for this visit. Apparently the Cybermen from the Doctor Who universe were in cahoots with the Borg to take over both realities at the same time. Originally published in May 2012 through December 2012, this story details Captain Picard and the Doctor's attempt to stop this alliance of cyber people and save both realities. While this storyline was widely well received, it was criticized by die-hard fans from both franchises. The chief complaint being that the story created too many new plot holes and inconsistencies in the Star Trek multiverse, key characters were not acting like themselves, and the simple idea of Cybermen and Borg alliance was just silly. Still, I recommend this book to anyone interested in it and invite you to make your own judgments. Number 4, Star Trek and the X-Men. Published in 1996, the Star Trek and the X-Men one-off comic was what many considered to be the granddaddy of crossovers for the Star Trek franchise. The story follows James T. Kirk and the Enterprise crew meeting up with the X-Men, who traveled through a dimensional rift chasing after the villain Proteus. With the help of the Federation crew, the X-Men succeed in defeating a Mitchell-Proteus hybrid character and return to their own universe. While the story itself was rather short and sweet, it wasn't without its more iconic moments, such as when Scotty routed the ship's phaser power through Bishop, or when Spock took down Wolverine with a Vulcan nerve pinch. Still, this crossover didn't go unscathed from criticism. It was difficult for me to find information from fans regarding this crossover, but the information I did uncover mainly asked the question of why shatter both universes for a seemingly boring story with no real chance of future installments. Number 3, Star Trek and the Green Lantern Corps. This 2-part comic arc was covered in 12 issues, with publication running from July 2015 to late 2016. The story follows the Kelvin Timeline Enterprise crew as they come into possession of a Green Lantern ring from a dead Guardian. Apparently the Klingons had been up to no good and created a way for people to travel between the Lantern universe and the Kelvin one. Because of this, the Lantern Corps sends 3 of their own through to stop the incursion by the Klingons. With the help of the Enterprise crew, they succeed in defeating the Klingon threat, but inadvertently strand themselves in the Kelvin universe, forever changing that timeline. They continue living out their lives on board the Enterprise until the evil Sinestro takes over the Klingon Empire and wreaks havoc on the universe. This crossover was a simple, fun adventure that pitted an ailing Star Trek comic line with a subpar Green Lantern story. In the end, fans accepted the storyline for what it was and didn't criticize it too much. Still, the crossover appeared to most as just a bizarre attempt at pulling in new readers to the Trek comics, which seemed to work out well because this story's commercial success led us to our next topic. Number 2. The Next Generation and Aliens, Acceptable Losses. Even after being off the air for over 30 years, the TNG crew is still getting into trouble. Dark Horse Comics and IDW Publishing have teamed up once again to pit the crew of the Enterprise D against the galaxy's most nefarious alien, the Xenomorph. Slated for a 2017 release, the official press release announced this crossover didn't provide us with much details, only that the crew of the Enterprise will team up with a few characters from the alien universe to help stop a Xenomorph infestation. My guess is the Enterprise gets overrun, and they get the help from Ripley and Hicks to save the day. While the visual image of Worf killing Xenos with a bat'leth is awesome, this crossover is definitely one of the more bizarre of the bunch. These two franchises are so far removed from each other that it's leaving many fans confused as to how and why this is even happening. I guess we'll find out more in April. And finally, number 1, the Primate Directive. This entry for me is one of the most bizarre and confusing crossovers ever made. Featuring the TOS Enterprise crew, they travel to an alternate reality through a conduit created by the Klingons. In this reality, Kirk leads an away team down to an irradiated Earth to find out what the Klingons are up to. On the surface, they encounter all of the main characters from the original Planet of the Apes film, and seem to have arrived just after the events of the first movie. Working with the Charlton Heston character, the Enterprise eventually defeats the Klingons, but is unable to prevent the events of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and the Earth is destroyed. And just like in the events of that movie, Apes Cornelius, Zira, and Milo are in orbit watching the Earth be destroyed. To save their lives, the Enterprise crew instructs the Apes on how to travel through time, thus setting up the events for the film Escape from Planet of the Apes. While this is a fun idea, I just cannot get past the fact that it was completely unnecessary and rather baffling. The Planet of the Apes storyline unfolds exactly like before, almost implying that the TOS crew was there helping out in the background to begin with. But there's no hint or even mention of that in the film series, which again creates even more unnecessary confusing plot lines than is needed. Again, the visuals of Kirk fighting gorillas is great, nevertheless tops my list of the most bizarre crossovers for Star Trek. This concludes today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to some of the more interesting, if not bizarre, crossovers that Star Trek has done with other franchises. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to my commentary about that. Please throw up a comment below and tell me what you guys think. Do you think that I'm off my rocker and that these, crossovers are actually truly great and they're not bizarre at all and it's totally cool? Or do you think that, that these are really bizarre and they were rather unnecessary and just kind of maybe hurt both franchises inadvertently? I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about that. Please throw a like and subscribe up on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at RealCatWalski. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!